The Town of Monroe Zoning Board of Appeals meeting of January 25th, 2022. Wish you all a Happy New Year. We'll start with roll call.
Marcy Dan.
Present.
Kevin Scully.
Present.
Mike Murphy.
Here.
Here.
Postig.
Here.
Thank you.
We have our alternate, John.
Okay, and we'll start with a pledge. Just to go over, some of the protocol for the meeting. Fire exits are behind you or out the front door, which you came through. We are required to wear masks again in the town hall, so I thank you all for complying with that. And we have some administrative items to go over first, then we'll get to new items on with us. So the first item on the agenda is the appointment of the acting chairman to the ZBA. So we've had some discussions about this. We've reached out to a number of the board members. Mr. Chip Postiglione was willing to accept those duties. Would anybody like?
That's quite all right.
I thought we were hitting the wrong box.
That's quite all right. That's right.
A ringing endorsement.
I don't think I'd do it myself.
And would anybody like to second
I'll
that?
second the motion.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Chip, for accepting that role, and on nights when I'm not here, you'll be running the meetings. Yeah. Okay. Okay, the second item that we have on the agenda is the appointment of legal counsel. And we've been well served by our attorney, Dave McCartney, who's part of Frerick, Nugent, and McCartney. And we'd like a motion to as our attorney for the ZBA.
I'll make a motion to retain David McCartney as our attorney for the ZBA.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
My motion came a lot quicker than yours did.
It's a lot easier to say. Oh, to be loved.
But who's counting the seconds?
Oh, to be loved.
Okay. So that takes care of our administrative items for the night. Next item up is a new project. It's, I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher the name here. Zluck?
Zulk?
Zulk?
Address.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
can't say it either. 13 Lakeview Drive. If you'd come up to the table, please. You'll be fine. She's very nervous about being here.
Sorry, how do you pronounce your name?
My first name,
No, I'm sorry, how do you pronounce your name?
Genoveva, but that's for them, that's Mr. Schultz, Mieczysław Schultz and Barbara Schultz.
Barbara Schultz? Was it?
Yeah, that's Barbara Yeah.
Okay, is the other,
Okay, and that's a couple, they would like to sell the house.
and you're representing them, and your name?
Jen-
Genevieve?
N-O,
Thank you.
Application. Lot as it. My question,
On your mic, please.
yes, the question is, you're coming here for variances, but who sent you here? What application did you make that was rejected? I don't seem to have a letter from the,
Have Mike's, Ben's letter in there.
Ben's letter is in here? I did not see it.
there was
I
a,
hope
sell
it's-
the house and they came out like with violations. They did renovate it like, back in 2002, I believe. So they had the engineer who did the plans, everything was up to the code, but that came out that's the setback of the house, that's what there is a letter, that's the variance for side yard and rear yard.
Yes, and I did find that. there in
Right,
my-
and the shed was moved already, so the survey, it's already corrected.
What are you looking at parcel at this? I don't see any,
No, they're not gonna do, they won't sell the house, they're not gonna do anything. They put the house the way it is.
They
These
made,
these are existing
I guess,
conditions when they bought it?
Yeah, they didn't do, because it says that's side yard, 15 feet, rear yard. They didn't do anything with the house. The house, they purchased in 1996. And they didn't do anything in the back or on the side. So,
and now made their
Yes.
non-conform,
Yeah, I-
non-conform.
yeah, let me just
So
read
did-
this
Yeah.
first paragraph.
Give them a minute to,
Let me read this first paragraph from the building inspector. With reference to your lot located in the SR10 zoning district with central sewers and your garage conversion and front porch addition built without permits for the building permit submitted to my office dated 10/27/21 and survey dated 10/26/21, at this time, required building permit could not be issued for the following reasons. And then he cites the pre-existing non-conforming conditions, side yard variance, rear yard variance. Existing right side rear yard shall be moved 5. Okay, so I have a better understanding what we have here before us. So these were, changes that happened inside the garage where a conversion was made, I guess, into a livable space and the addition of a patio. So that's why the building department sent you here, is to clean up those conversions that were done and get you all the right permits.
I guess the question I have, so those, the garage conversion and the patio, that was done by the homeowner now, or that was done before they bought
the
it?
conversion was the way it was. He did not move any walls or anything. He just converted the garage into living space, but did not move any walls like closer or anything. Like the back side and the rear was the way it was. It was just did the living space from the garage.
That's something you need.
Right, so that's when we filed for the permit, so that was rejected, so that's, I guess we are here.
That was done by the current homeowner or the previous homeowner?
Conversion
Yes.
by him. He bought in 1996 the house, so that's,
So, but it was like that when he bought it?
yeah, that's when, When he bought the house, was like, he purchased from the bank, so was like completely ruined. And then he did like renovations and converted that garage into living space.
So I think the answer is that the current owner of the residence did the work
Yes.
of the
Yeah,
conversion of the garage.
Yeah, he did everything by himself,
Okay.
Without a permit?
without a permit, yeah.
Up in the Monbassia Lake area, up there. It's off of Lakeview Drive.
So it's just that back corner. On the side yard, it's 12 and a half feet. I'm sorry, 12.3 feet, but 15 feet are required,
But
right?
that's-
And you can't really see it there. It's just, can you all see where that is? Next to the stone walkway on the
Right.
left side? And then the rear, there's the 19.1 feet right to the rear property line, and 35 feet are required there. So, right, so the applicant did interior work. They didn't expand this. These conditions, the side and rear yard, are the way they were when the applicant bought the property, but by reason of having done the interior renovation, they needed a building permit, and as a result, Ben's determined that a variance is required to legalize these pre-existing conditions, I think, right? Do I have that right? Okay.
On your mic, please.
Yes. We seem to have all of the correct forms in the application package. I'm sorry I didn't recognize that the building department's letter was in there earlier, but that is there. You have a map showing your setbacks and where you need variances, so we're in pretty good condition there. We now understand why you're in front of us, that there was internal conversions done on the house that required building permits. Those building permits were not obtained before the construction, so you come in here to remedy that situation. Does anybody have any other questions about the property and the variances that we're looking at?
No, it seems pretty cut and dry here.
And we have all the information we generally require.
Mic, please. I'm sorry, I can't
Oh,
hear
that's
him
all
at
right,
night.
that's all right. All right, so then I guess the next step here is they've submitted a complete application. We understand the nature of their request and how it all evolved over the course of time. And our next step would be to schedule this for a public hearing. I don't think there's a lot more to be said about this application. Would anybody like to make a motion to schedule this applicant for a public hearing at our next meeting?
February 22nd.
I make a motion to schedule this for a public hearing on February 22nd at our next meeting.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Yes, February 22nd. Mine is? Are you muted?
Can you hear me now?
Now we can.
There you go.
There we go. So you've
Okay.
been scheduled for a public hearing. So we will be in touch, you and I. I'll get you a list of the residents that live within 300 feet of the property. You have to do a mailing. Next month, you'll come back before the board. They'll open a public hearing. They'll review your product, see if any of the residents come. If nobody objects to the decision, then the board can either grant you or deny you your variances. So you're good tonight, you're done. So if you want, call the office on Friday. call me in the office on Friday.
Okay.
Okay?
To stay or-
No, you can leave. You're done.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So our next new applicant for tonight is Max Wessels, 3 Cromwell Road.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Good to see everyone,
Night.
person and healthy.
Okay, so I start out with the same question here, unless I missed it in my packet again. I don't see a letter from the building department denying your application.
Yes.
On the mic there, you're not turning red.
Completed a land use determination form, and the building inspector commented on the bottom and referred it to the ZBA on page 2.
Okay, so that is his referral letter to the board. Do you want to go over your application? Because, you know, one of the shortcomings I see here, and I really don't want to go too far down the road until we have an actual survey map.
I appreciate that. I'm before the board with the information that the owner allowed me to. And
On your mic, it's not close enough, David.
did talk about the need for an updated survey, and so now I can reiterate that to the owner, that that's definitely needed. He wanted me to come before you with just this old survey that you have before you and present the project. I don't want to take up the board's time too much. I could give a brief summary. The owner is on in years, and so he would like to have direct access from the main house to a garage, which is a separate structure on the property. This is a condition where the house predated the road. So the house was there, Cromwell Hill went from a horse and buggy trail to a road. With the current bulk zoning code, it encroaches on the front yard setback. In the RR district, the front yard setback's 50 feet. The existing house is 12 feet. We would be requesting a 38-foot front yard variance for a pre-existing non-conforming condition. This new entrance is what's triggering the request for the variance for the pre-existing non-conforming condition. Just very briefly, what the owner would like is to put a small 4x7, 5x7 vestibule area in the inner corner of that L shape so that he can come out the door right there into an enclosed shelter, foyer, not intending it for it to be habitable, just as a...
Breezeway connecting a detached garage?
Well, no, not even connecting it. Just, you see that little red section that I hatched in the area on the...
Is this what we're referring to as the old survey?
Yes, yes. We tried to print it in color. I hope everybody got theirs in color, but... So, you see the 5x10 entry on our notes on the right side of that survey sketch. That's what we're proposing. Because it has a roof, the building inspector referred it to the zoning board among the pre-existing non-conforming condition. He would like to be able to exit the house into that vestibule or covered area and then walk to the garage as a direct route. See, what's happening now is the front door is on the south side.
You stop at the garage for a moment.
Yeah.
I don't see a garage. I mean, I see a square that's kind of sketched on here.
Is the garage,
That's
it's labeled
that's
as
the
addition?
garage.
It's labeled as addition?
What's that?
It's labeled as addition? Is that the garage?
Adjacent to the house.
No, the garage is
okay, I see.
that square that's
Okay, it
about,
looks like a smudge.
about 20 feet
I
away
gotcha,
from that.
I
yes.
gotcha.
So you're in front of the building department with an application to build that garage.
Yeah, so the correct, no, not the garage. No, all our application is concerned with is the 5x10 entry that's shown on the inner part of that L
So
shape.
that detached garage already exists out there?
Yes.
Okay, because, from the map we're looking at, it doesn't look like it's real. It wasn't there at the time of the survey. It looks like it's been sketched on. There's no real call-outs on it.
Well, I think
I have no argument.
I think we should go back to how we started here. This would be a more fruitful discussion if we had the updated survey with all the proposed information on it. So, I think if you go back to your client and say he needs that survey, I think we can have a more
Right, then we'd all be much clearer on
right,
what's being
yeah, and then
proposed.
because right now I think we're just spinning our wheels.
What will happen is we're just going to repeat all this again on the
Right.
next meeting. And
But I think it's good just to get some
Yeah.
of these questions out there,
No,
so you make
absolutely.
sure you get it covered in the next survey.
So-
And as you know what our requirements are for survey maps. We want to see building envelopes on the lots, existing and proposed offsets and yard requirements. The other question I have, just looking at this map, it looks like there's two lots here.
He owns the whole area, but yes, might be two lots that have,
So if this building is truly on just the one lot, we should really just be looking at that one.
Yeah, because this doesn't show that it's combined into one. It's obviously, you have all your meets and bounds for your two lots there, so it's showing two.
if I can make one last point before we leave the meeting, just so you know, the main entrance to the house is on the south side of the square that's labeled existing house. So when he comes out the south side of that building, he has to walk around to the front along Cromwell Road to the garage. And that's become, I would go beyond cumbersome, that's become dangerous for him. So that's the request. And I explained to the owner, it's a reasonable request. I'm sure the board would entertain it. I was hoping.
What does he
to
want, a
have
new
survey.
front door?
Huh?
Another entrance door?
Would he have another entrance door on the north
So-
side?
Is there currently a door there?
No, it's a window.
Gotcha.
So what we would do, and actually, with the old houses, the windows are wide.
Yeah.
So we take away the sill and the wall below it, make a door, and create that 5-foot by 10-foot entry.
Now I have a much better idea of what.
So that 5 by 10 entry will be the only changes?
A little bit of a
Correct.
roof.
Plus the stairs, it looks like, stairs
Yeah,
to
with-
grade?
With the stairs to grade.
Yeah, there's a difference in grade, approximately 24 inches, so 3 8-inch risers, or maybe a little bit more, 4 8-inch risers, not much.
That's the main garage off to the side. And why am I not getting parcel lines in here? I was looking at. It does look like that whole overall shape are the two lots that were shown on the old map combined. So it is all one parcel. It's got one tax lot number.
Hence the need for survey.
All right, David. I think we now better understand your application. And as you know, the main thing here is we're going to need to see a map of the parcel with all the zoning data called out, lot area coverage, although as large as this is, it doesn't look like there's a lot of coverage. Backs, those new structures, and structures really our way down to grade, get them over to the garage.
Correct.
Now, this is Matt or Junior. Gentlemen, you're
He's an older
80 years
gentleman.
old, or is he 80 years old?
I'm sorry?
The gentleman you're dealing with, is he 60 years old or 80 years old?
Yeah, I would say he's, up there.
Thanks for clearing that up.
Yeah.
Oh, I asked you because
What do we call
Putting
that kind
David
of
on the
shuffle?
spot here.
Yeah, yeah. And for my next dance, I'll do this and that, I'll tell you, he moves around well, that's for sure. But I do think, I think he's junior. I don't think he's senior. Yeah. Because he speaks about his father in different, I'm thinking.
Okay, yeah, so the family has owned that house for decades, probably more than half. All right, thank you, David. When you have the new survey map, we'll come back with that, and then we'll be able to, look at the issues a little bit more closely, and if we deem the application complete, then we'll, put it on for a public hearing. We're also up for the next application, which is also a new project. It is the Eagle View Estates subdivision application.
Yes.
And looking through the file, it looks like you went out and you received approvals for the driveway cut onto Lakes Road from Orange County DPW. And you also had a set of plans approved for the force main service lines to the Moodna District sewer system. Okay, and I bring that up because the last time you were here, we did review this application for an area variance because the septic systems that you were proposing at that time do not meet the lot area code. So I thought we discussed this at the.
No, I don't think we've discussed this yet.
We submitted it about 3 months ago, or 2, whatever, but it's been floating around for a little bit. But this is our first presentation.
Okay, so do you want to explain this application to us, son?
Yes, this may take a little time, so please bear with me, okay? So we're actually here before you because the town of Monroe has not satisfied the requirements for Orange County Department of Public Works to allow hookups to their sewer facilities. And that's the letter that was attached dated September 30th, 2020 from Orange County Department of Public Works. So from that time on, because of I&I requirements, input and infiltration requirements for sewer and stormwater have not been satisfied or not been addressed by the town, they're not allowing developments to hook up to the sewer system, even though this is the Moodna Basin Sewer District. As a result, it impacted the project severely. I mean, just to give a quick timeline, we started the project around September of 2018. We went through a cluster development design, which brought us through to about November of 2019. And that cluster development design was ultimately not approved. As a result, we went to the conventional design, which would allow the pre-existing lot on Walton Terrace and then the current lot to be subdivided into two. And I thank Mike for mentioning this because we went through that whole process of getting Moodna Basin approval of a force main sewer connection for that conventional design. But the subsequent part of that was also getting Orange County DPW approval for the shared driveway and everything associated with that. And as you can tell from our revision dates, that spanned quite a few months, probably a good 4 months. So the owners invested into this project tremendously. We want to continue with that process, I mean, because as any of us invested into something for 3 years, parts of 3 years, and would want to see some conclusion. And also having paid taxes to hook up to the sewer system for probably decades, if not 50, 60 years to do so, and not being able to do this. We're not sure when the town of Monroe will complete their I&R report. I don't know if it started. At the time I initially started this application, this submission to the zoning board, it had not been started yet. So what our purpose here before you is to ask for a variance to allow us to put a septic system in temporarily on each lot to be used, and then once the town of Monroe satisfies their requirements, these houses will be hooked up to the sewer system and the septic system's abandoned. That's our request. It would be a temporary solution, but yet it would survive the time needed for the town of Monroe to complete their reports and their calculations. Fortunately, the site perked well, where we are able to fit a septic system on the one lot that we're asking to be subdivided into two. Why is this a variance? Because in this district, to have a septic system, you need 1 acre. To hook up to the sewer system, you only need 15,000 square feet. Our two lots are approximately 17,000 and 19,000, so if we were able to hook up to the sewer system, it was not an issue. But now that we need to have a temporary septic system until that's allowed, it creates this hurdle that we're asking the board to help us overcome. I provided to you 2 plans, and I can provide the whole set. It's not an issue that shows Orange County DPW approval of the shared drive, shows Moodna Basin and their engineering consultant, Lincoln Tully's approval of the force main. I can provide all of that. I just focused on these 2 plans to show you the proposed septic for the 2 lots and the proposed force main that has been approved. So if you allow this variance to go ahead, both systems would be put into place. The septic systems for the two houses and the forced mains would be installed, just not hooked up to the sewer. So the first one that I provide, page C3 and C5, with the revision date of 6/28, that shows the septic design and its location. And then plans, which both would be located in the front of each house. And then Plan C3 and 5 dated 4/29/21 shows the sewer location and its impact on the land.
What is it? Is it C5 dated 6/28? Is that the one that's showing the proposed septic?
Yes.
I'm looking at that, and it doesn't necessarily show the septic. It shows where the test holes were.
Right.
There's no layout of the absorption system. Not that that's an issue for us. You know, our issue is building septics on lots that are too small within that zoning district, and also that this is in the aquifer overlay district for Walton Lake. So, you know, those are the things that we need to consider. You know, the fact that you went and you got your driveway cut approvals and you got your future sewer main connections, you know, that's good. That moves that plan forward, you know, your ultimate plan. But we're being asked to grant the variance to two lots that are approximately half the size of what they need to be in order to install septics. On top of that, they're in aquifer overlay districts. So,
To address that, we do show the 100-foot separation from the water line. If you look to the west of our north arrow, you'll see a dashed line, and that's the 100-foot separation from the water. So the septic system does satisfy that requirement, the distance from a water body. In addition to that, we do satisfy the Department of Health requirements regarding separations from surrounding wells and from the wells proposed for these two houses. So it meets the technical requirements outlined by the state or by the county to allow for the two septic fields, absorption fields to be installed.
problem is this.
So these temporary septic systems that you're proposing here, will they, even though we're calling it temporary, and Chairman, maybe you could help me understand this, it would still be, you'd still have to build it and design it and install it as if it wasn't going to be temporary.
Right, it would have to be designed and
Yeah.
installed like any other septic system.
Right.
The only problem that they have here is lot area doesn't comply.
No, right. It looks like a pretty steep property also.
Well, the areas that we put the expansion field or the absorption field meets the requirement. It's on a flat area, well, relatively flat in relationship to the rest of the site. We were fortunate in that arrangement, and the perks in those two locations worked out very well, which the perks are not dictating a large absorption field. They're dictating or outlining a small absorption field.
Where does the sewer line go? That go along Lakes Road?
Okay, so if you go to, that's a great question.
Up in Walton Terrace, okay.
If you
So
go,
they have to do a sanitary pump system, okay.
oh, okay.
I was just curious of where this stuff was, that's all.
Yeah, we show that on the second C3 page,
The second C3?
the C3, And again, please excuse the back and forth, everyone. It's been if you look at C3 dated
Okay, yeah.
4/29/21, the sewer lines would come out of the back of the house, and you see the dashed line. Well, that's where the sewer lateral would continue up towards Walton Terrace and connect to the sewer main there.
They're going to put those in now,
Correct.
just so they don't have to dig everything up
When
when the time comes.
Exactly. We beg your consideration. This has been so long. The owner we would put both systems, he would install both systems in their entirety, both the septic and the sewer, per the approved Luna Basin specifications and direction of the sewer. Only thing that would not be done is it would not be connected to the sewer main until the town of Monroe satisfies Orange County DPW's requirements.
So one of the other things I'm noticing on your sewer main plan is you're proposing a 7-foot wide easement. That seems rather narrow for, any future service of that line. Generally easements for the purpose of getting machinery in there to dig it, to reinstall the pipe, they're on the order of 20 feet wide. You're proposing 7. You can't even drive a truck in a 7-foot wide easement. And, you were talking about the decades of taxes paid into the sewer district. In all fairness, this owner has only owned it since 2018. So, he wasn't involved. He bought this property knowing the condition it was in.
Well, he bought it not knowing that he would not be able to connect to the sewer system. So he didn't buy it in this condition. He bought it under the very strong premise that he could hook up to the sewer system. It wasn't until 2.5 years later, or maybe, over 2.5 years later, that Orange County Department of Public Works said, no, you can't. And we talked to a lot of the people listed here for a consideration, and this is a non-starter right from the beginning of this letter forward. I mean, there are no exceptions. They're not allowing any hookups. I mean, it's almost a moratorium.
And I recall this property being before the planning board in town of Monroe, probably back in the mid-2000s, 2005, 2008 maybe. And they had a similar problem. I remember there was a whole debate about whether it's in the district or not in the district because of the way the lines were drawn on the map. And apparently you've got that straightened out. But there have been prior attempts to develop this land. So, the fact that your client doesn't recognize that or doesn't know the history of it, that's a shame that he didn't realize that. But this has been a predicament for this property for, going on over a decade, maybe 15 years now. And he bought this in 2018. I understand his frustration with this, that, he doesn't have the control to fix what needs to be fixed to get into the sewer district. But that's where your argument is. It's with the Moodna District and the town of Monroe Town Board, not with the ZBA. I mean, the ZBA, we're looking at this from a code perspective. If you need an acre of land to put in a septic system and you've only got less than half an acre, well, and on top of that, you're in the Aquifer Overlay District. Those are the types of things we look at and we take into consideration. The whole history of everything else is, it's good to know, but I don't think it's data that changes what we're looking at from a zoning perspective.
Well, everything you said, I'd like to the humanity back. It's no fault. I mean, actually, in response to what you said, yes, it's been a problem. We overcame all of them. We could have put all 3 lots on the sewer system. All 3. In fact, he's being penalized because we can't even develop the Walton Terrace lot. because it can't be hooked up. So I mean,
This board has no authority on that matter.
well, I'm going to appeal to the others. I hope you can see some reasonableness in this. I mean, we're not asking to skirt the issue. We're asking to install both systems and satisfy the requirements.
So could you just clarify what the technical legal relief is that you're asking for from this board?
We're asking for relief from the board of the requirement that a septic system can only be installed on 1 acre of land, but in this case would be allowed to be used as a supplemental sewer connection or sewer facilities in conjunction with the conventional sewer main that would be ultimately hooked up to the sewer system.
Just looking at I think you have in your narrative, you also allude to seeking an interpretation of whether this would constitute, like if you do a combined absorption field, whether that would constitute a central sewer facility as opposed to a septic? Is that part of the application, or that's not part of the application?
Well, we had asked for a definition. Actually, the planning board asked us to get a definition. They asked us to get a definition of a central sewer facility, because you don't have one in your code.
Right.
So,
You know, the way it works with language like that is you take the plain English understanding of the word and as it's applied in the industry, and in the central collection plant, a facility that it has a speed operate, whether it be underground or whatever it is. But you can't take 2 septic tanks, connect them, and say that's just preposterous. So let's not even go down that road.
well, it's being done in other municipalities. Research prior to add. And so, and I ran it by actually 2 other engineering firms. So, but it's non-consequential because we didn't get a definition. The letter doesn't give us a definition.
So the application is for alternate forms of relief. First, you're saying, look, we think, can you give us an interpretation of what the definition of central sewer facility is? And you're advocating that it would include, if you have a combined field for 2 lots, that falls within that definition, so you can do it as of right, if you design it that way, and it's otherwise, from an engineering and from that standpoint, it's acceptable. And then if you do get that, if the board were to agree with you, then you could do a combined absorption field here for 2 lots. If the board says no, then you're saying, okay, thank you, but now we're asking for an area variance to allow these lots without a connection to an actual central sewer facility to be 15,000 square feet instead of an acre.
17 and 19.
Okay. And then for the latter, are you saying you would still have a combined field, or you would do 1 septic for each lot?
1 septic for each lot.
Okay.
Each of the 2
Right.
would.
Okay. So the idea of the combined was only if you combine it, then that equals, potentially, your argument is, if you combine them, it's 1 for 2, that's a central sewer. If you don't get that, you're saying, okay, we'll split it up. Okay.
And again, it's a bridge. Time when the town of Monroe their responsibility. And it's a bridge until the town of Monroe completes their responsibility to homeowners and rectifies the situation with the sewer facilities.
Any other, I'm not familiar with this piece of property, and I don't see a vicinity map on any of these, but is there any other homes or buildings to the east or west of these two proposed lots?
If you look up on the screen here, we have an aerial. And you can see that's lots, and then there's the third one is up here, and it's got frontage on that road, which
Walton Terrace.
Walton Terrace.
Terrace, right? And running down along the bottom of the map is Lakes Road.
Right.
What we're looking at here is the tail end of Walton Lake. Right, then this is a new subdivision. This is
If you try and do a drive-by on this, it's going to be frustrating for you. You'll blink, it'll be gone off of Walton Terrace. And Lakes Road, it's even hard to tell.
from what it looks like on your grading plans for the driveways. Once you get through grading for site distance along the road frontage, all that tree line is going to be gone. Yeah. Do you have any other? Okay, I believe the application is complete. We have all the forms. We do have a site visit consent form, so if you did want to take a ride out to the site, it's easy to get onto the properties from up above.
Yeah.
You know, if you get up here, all lawn area.
On your mic.
Fairly easy up and look at. I wouldn't recommend stopping along Lakes Road because there's no shoulder and there's poor sight distance through there.
So is the lot that's off of Walton Lake Terrace, is that to be developed later? Or is that, because you referred to 3-lot and then you referred to saying that the concessions that he's making is only developing 2 lots. So is that lot up there going to be developed at a later date?
That's the driveway.
Once the,
Is it correct, that's the driveway?
Previously, under the cluster
Yeah,
plan,
under
that
the
was the
cluster.
driveway lot. But right now, that lot's involved in this subdivision
Right,
because
so-
they're putting a sewer easement
No,
across
so,
it.
you're
so
putting
is
a
it,
driveway-
is it to
okay.
be developed at a
I
later
gotcha.
date?
once the sewer, it can't be developed.
Talking to the.
No, well, the other 2 lots are too small, too. 43,560 square feet per acre, right? And you keep quoting 17 and 19. So, less than half an acre.
Yeah, no, we acknowledge that.
Yeah,
But that's the whole purpose while we're here. The two lots that are going to be created from the one lot do not equal an acre each. They equal 17 and 19,000 plus or minus respectively. That's the variance, that's the relief we're requesting. And fortunately, the septic system complies with the standards of Orange County and Department of Health. So it's not like we're asking for any relief from that. It meets the distances, it meets the requirements, it meets all of the technical issues or concerns.
Except the zoning. Except the zoning. That's,
Yeah,
and
that's
that's
why I
what we're here to
clarified Orange
administer,
County, yeah.
is the zoning code.
Yeah.
All right, well, we seem to have, a collection of maps here that cover the area. The map that you submitted for the septic layout, that doesn't actually show on the maps. So I don't know if you just want to resubmit that map with the septic layer turned on?
We should,
Could I see? Soil test.
To the left of that. It's, actually, we show the two laterals for each absorption field and for each house. So actually, we show the extents of the field, including the absorption area and the expansion area. On Plan C5 dated 6/29.
Okay,
C5, hang on.
yeah,
I was looking at C3 because.
You know, there's the
sanitary
tank, there's the
systems were on
laterals.
C3. Oh, okay. There it is. Soil tests were,
Yes, I was there myself.
I mean, by the town.
No, not yet. When we go back to the planning board, the engineer will have to witness it.
All right, so I think we have.
On your mic.
Next step from here would be scheduling this for a public hearing. Actions or
Motion to schedule this for a public hearing at our next meeting on February 22nd.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, David, you know the drill. Get in touch with Noreen. She'll get you the names and addresses to send out notices. And we'll
Thank
see you next month.
Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great
you, Dave.
evening. Bye-bye.
Now, next up is DG. The applicant has asked to appear via a Zoom link. Noreen, have you let everybody know about
I
that
told them to
situation?
stay in the link. I sent them the link and to stay there till we brought them up.
Okay. So,
We have a link.
You should, Mike.
right, we created it just this afternoon for you to be able to hook into it. It should be on there, right, Noreen?
Yeah. Like one of the last things I did before I went home at 4 o'clock. No, not everybody's going to have it. Only Mike would have it.
I don't see it.
402.
Back into my.
Applicant that's
Yes, the attorney is in Texas. Jay Myro should be in there. John Queenan wasn't able to attend because he's not feeling well. And Jay Myro.
Okay, gentlemen.
Good evening, you can hear us?
Yes, now, remind me, are we in the public hearing meeting?
Nope.
No, we haven't gotten to that point.
No, we have not.
No,
They
because this
pulled
is-
the application to change it. Jay had something else he wanted to present to the board, and there's a letter that should have gone around, I don't even remember when that letter was.
7th.
Number
From Michael
16.
Nowicki.
From Jay Myro?
Oh.
Oh, to Jay Myro from Ecological Solutions.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that is what Jay wants to discuss this evening.
All right, gentlemen. Welcome to the Town of Monroe Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. So tonight, you're here representing DG Realty, and you have some new information you'd like to share with us before setting this for a public hearing. Do I understand that correctly?
Yes, so, Jay Myro, Lucy Shapiro, Frank Burrell for the applicant. Dave Higgins is with us. Frank Tully, our engineer, and Mr. Nowicki is also on, in case the board has any questions for him. But when we do hold a public hearing, he'll give testimony regarding the letter that we submitted. So if I could just give you basically where I think we are as to currently. If you remember, this matter was originally referred by the planning board to the CPA consideration. Lot area for proposed open space. There is a property. We contend that should be partly open space. Only qualifies as this is a way back in 20. Decided that they were not going to recognize any conservation value for the to other that we're here from the environment. Happened is after federal set for public last year. Prior to that, I became involved in the case. I did my code analysis, and I suggested, and I basically inquired as to what information the planning board had considered determining the conservation value of the present. Hired and engaged Mr. Nowicki to conduct an environmental assessment of the property to determine whether we met any of the criteria in the code to determine what to qualify as an easement areas open space. So Mr. Nowicki produced his letter. We canceled the public hearing that was scheduled in December with the intention of going back to the planning board to present Mr. Nowicki's findings and have that considered and reconsidered in terms of evaluating, re-examining the easement area to designate it as a conservation area. We presented that letter at a technical meeting. At the time, we were pretty much told that the planning board did not want to consider the letter, and the primary reason given was that because we were already in front of the ZBA, and if we had information relevant to this, we should present it to you and not to them. So, we basically supplemented our ZBA application with Mr. Nowicki's letter. Blank and Tully did a color schematic of the property, which I believe you have. It's in pink, green, and gray, showing the locations of the easement areas. Conservation. So, we're back here now, rescheduled the public hearing. Second variance that's required is the provision, which is 5721.7 C5H, which says that proposed conservation area private lot. Private yards cannot be considered as part of the open space if it's within 75 feet of the building. Reason we're in this, we need this variance is private yard that contains open space is from lot 1 on that map. Lot 1 is about a 4-acre parcel, and lot 1 wraps all the way around the proposed lots and includes the easement area and the conservation. And that way, so that the open space would be and the easement area would be owned private. Option. Not be on a private yard and be now, since the last public hearing was Mr. Nowicki's letter, and I believe the color.
Now you keep referring to them as two area variances. It's really one area variance for shortage on the open space area, and I believe it's 5 area variances for building setbacks from the open space.
Four lots require variance setback. Lots 1, 6, 7, and 8. 75 foot.
I'm sorry, which lots again need that variance?
If you look at, I read it off the map, so if that's correct, it's lots 1, 6, 7, and 8. And if you look at all the lots that back to the green area, the ones that back up to the top, to the utility easement area, that's not considered fixed. As of now, it's not considered open space, so it doesn't apply to that space.
I'm sorry, Jay, I have a map that's up on the screen here at the town hall, but I don't know if I shared it with you on the Zoom window.
I don't see it.
Okay. So let me.
Is it one that we submitted translated? Must be.
Could you do share screen?
Let me see if I could,
Yes.
Yeah, it's a version of the color schematic that I made before your last scheduled appearance before the planning, before the ZBA. Let's see, disabled. And it's a lot like this colored schematic that you submitted, but mine shows the offset distances that are required that are not there. It also shows an area, you know, the shape of what's missing from your green areas. All right, so just to kind of get an order of magnitude estimate of how far off these values are from what they need to be. These are not minor variances from the setback requirements. These are fairly major. In most cases, if you tried to comply with the rear yard setbacks from the green area, you would eliminate all building area space on those lots, and that happens to 4 lots. So, you know, that's part of the problem. And then the other, I wish I could share screen, cannot share screen.
allow the screen share?
Yeah.
I'm trying to do that now. I don't have Zoom downloaded on my phone. I'm downloading it now, and then hopefully I can sign in as host and then enable.
I'm not. But anyway, needless to say, you know, we took a look at the, you know, the shortcomings of the plan, where it doesn't comply. How many lots, you know, are short on rear yard setbacks from the green area? And then also, how much additional land area would be required for compliance with the green space? And, you know, once you overlay that on the parcel, it eliminates three of your lots and 4 buildings in total. And okay, so that, and that's just for the area portion of it. Then then another lot number 1 would be eliminated for the the building setback from the green area. So once you shift that building far enough away from the green area to have your 75-foot offset, you lose another lot. So that becomes a total of 4 lots and 6 buildings that are lost. So that's how far off you guys are with the design of this plan.
Well, listen, you know, in the end of the day, the board is like this very balancing test that they have to engage in. That balancing test is balancing the potential benefits to the applicant against the proposed detriment, against any perceived detriments to the community. And at the end of the day, this parcel is going to be subdivided. And it's either going to be subdivided pursuant to the conventional subdivision plan, or it's going to be subdivided pursuant to the cluster plan. Now, I've laid them both out side by side, and there is such a stark difference between these 2 plans that we can't possibly prefer the conventional subdivision plan over the cluster plan. So my feeling is that this is one of those rare circumstances where there is no benefit, there is no detriment to the public in granting these variances. There is none. There are only benefits, because you do not want this conventional plan. It is not a good plan. It's 15 lots.
Yeah, and the cluster plan is equally not a good plan because it doesn't comply with the code.
What doesn't apply?
The cluster plan. You know, that's why you're here in front of the
I
ZBA.
understand that. But the test that you are to engage in is whether or not by just looking at the concept of the conventional plan, the lot coverage, the amount of impervious, there's nothing favorable about building that conventional plan. So you have, if this board can identify detriments to the public or detriments to the community that are going to result from granting these variances, we'll consider those and we'll address them. But there are none. You lay out these two plans, there is no benefit to not granting these variances. You're
So then maybe we,
not saving the public from anything.
maybe we go with the conventional plan.
Has anyone on this
Oh, I
board
did.
seen a conventional plan?
One at a time, please.
Feel but that's not the analysis. The analysis is that you have to recognize whether there are detriments in granting these variances that outweigh the benefits to the applicant. And in that circumstances, if you find those detriments, then you can deny the variances. But you cannot deny the variances if you do not find that there are detriments outweighing the benefit to the applicant. That's the way the statute's written.
If I can add something to the discussion, and I trust you can hear me, hopefully.
Yeah, you're coming through, Dave.
Okay, so one of the things that I just wanted to mention, and Mike, obviously we can't review the plan that you're talking about, I think that color, but I think I understand what you're saying that map will look like. You're basically taking the open space and expanding 75 feet from that, which is the required yard setback, and seeing how that impacts the houses that are shown. The main problem I think that we have on this is that the planning board has determined that the Orange and Rockland easement does not qualify as open space, and obviously that's one of the variances that we need. But one of the things I wanted to point out is that the parent parcel here is 9.5 acres in size. So if we were to provide 50% of that acreage, that would be 4.75 acres. If the easement, which is just under 4 acres in size, was added with the open space that we are providing, that's roughly 5.6 acres of open space that would be provided. Again, obviously the planning board has determined that Orange and Rockland easement is not technically considered open space. If it were, however, we would be providing roughly 5.6 acres of open space, which represents about 60% of the lot. Now, that open space could be revised, pulled back, to be 75 feet from the buildings if that were the case, and we'd be able to meet those setbacks from those buildings. Obviously, what we've attempted to do is maximize the amount of open space that we are, in fact, preserving. But my point is that if we were adding back an easement area for purposes of the open space, in terms of that variance that we're requesting, we would be able to take off another almost 9/10 of an acre of what's actually shown on the map as open space, and then provide those 75 feet. So I just wanted to point that out. Again, with what we're providing, include the open space, or include the easement, we're almost preserving 60% of the lot.
I'm confused here. This is, everything that we've heard tonight is nothing new. We've heard this a couple times through the last meeting, so there's nothing that they're bringing to the table that's new or enlightening that changes from the last time we've discussed this, unless I'm missing something.
That's correct. I mean, the basic question is, have you changed the configuration of the cluster plan in any respect before resubmitting it to this board? It's still the same
As far
footprint.
as I know, but I do know that the planning board granted a negative declaration on the application last week, which means that the ZBA could consider the variances. I don't know that that was the case before the negative declaration was granted last week.
So, two things, just in response to that. The only thing that the applicant did submit that was new, obviously they submitted the map, the new map, but the map shows the same layout, but it shows the coloration of it. But the only thing that's changed, so to speak, is the letter from Mr. Nowicki, the Ecological Solutions LLC, which lays out and makes the case that there is conservation value to that.
Yes,
Oh.
but our code calls out,
Did you hit mute with the
says that
papers?
that area cannot be included as part of the open space. So we're dealing with a zoning code that says that cannot be included. So now Mr.
Well,
Nowicki
that's
comes
the-
in with an opinion, and if he says, well, maybe it's got 50% of the same habitat value, or whatever he may say here, it doesn't matter, because we're looking at areas, straight out. You know, the planning board sent it to us with the determination that they were not allowing the easement areas to be used as open space, because they already have a dedicated use to utility lines, which can be, the areas can be clear-cut anytime they needed to be by Orange and Rockland. There's a roadway through there. There's, high-powered cables that run through there, and it's a supply system, throughout the town and into Woodbury. So it's already has a use on it.
I think the point in the applicant bringing it before this board is again, it's a little bit of a complicated legal issue, but essentially what the applicant is saying in submitting the letter to this board is that, look, we think it does have conservation value. We understand that the planning board is not, as of yet, considering it to have conservation value. We think it does, and we're not asking you to determine that it does as a matter of law. We're saying consider our letter that we've submitted in whether you would, as one factor in why you might grant us relief. I think that's what he's advocating, and that's the purpose of the letter. And my point in bringing it up is that's the new advocacy that's been put before you. And then separate and apart, I think the application is probably one way or the other ready for a public hearing.
Right.
So
let's
get to it.
If they're bringing to the table, this letter that we're supposed to consider, it still doesn't change the magnitude of the variance. Because I just don't see how it can. It either is or it isn't open space. And the planning board had made the determination, based on the code, that anything that has an already defined easement on it cannot be included in open space, because it's not available to or under the control of the development surrounding it. So I don't.
There was no finding to that effect. The board never concluded that the mere fact that it's covered by utilities that rendered that portion of the property as not having conservation value.
No, Jay, that's pretty much the condition they sent it to us in. They said the green area is the open space area, as shown on this map, and it's 50% shy of meeting what's required by code. You would have to add in this pink area over here, that's roughly another acre of land, and once you add that in, then you have enough green area. Maybe, you do the yield plan to determine the number of lots that are allowed based on the original yield plan and the conventional plan. And that yielded 15 lots, right? So you got 15 dwelling units here. Now, those 15 dwelling units don't comply with the code. Maybe the answer is maybe the answer is that your subdivision plan needs to have 4 less lots.
You have the absolute right to ask for variances, and variances are granted when you do not comply with the code. You never granted variance to an application that did comply with the code. So, comply with the code doesn't make us a villain here.
It doesn't make it, an acceptable plan from my perspective either. I mean, I'm just one voice here.
You would never grant a variance. You would never grant a variance because you feel that anything that doesn't comply with the code should not exist.
Right, because it's not going forward in the manner in which the town master plan has anticipated land would be development. We grant variances
One at a
to a
time.
number of projects. We don't grant them to all projects.
One at a time, please.
We'll make our arguments at hearing, we'll present our evidence, and the board can vote.
Which is where we were 2 months ago. And that was my point, just that there's a letter of opinion, which you can appreciate, but it still doesn't change the facts of where we were 2 months ago, ready for public hearing.
Right.
And that's all we're trying to say. And to listen to someone saying that this is going to be passed either way, conventional or cluster, and trying to just pound that through, again, doesn't change where we were 2 months ago. So, you know, I question myself, what are we doing here?
I think we're just ready for set the public hearing.
Right.
We're going over and over and over things
Right.
that should be part of a public hearing record. The public hearing hasn't begun yet. I think we should just set it for a public hearing, let the applicant make their case,
Right.
and then handle it in the midst of a public hearing.
Now, is Mr. Nowicki's letter going to be part of the public record?
Certainly, it's part of the
that
application.
Right into it, because if they have their ecological consultant providing a letter, we should have the same opportunity. We could hire somebody to give us an opinion letter on what this is.
Well, you could. I guess the issue is not, there's no jurisdiction of this board right now to determine, yes, it meets the definition and has conservation value and therefore does equal open space, or no, it does not. So that issue is not before the board properly, and I don't think the board would have jurisdiction over that here.
So that's
but
straightforward.
however, like the answer is yes, the board certainly is authorized to engage its own professionals to help it through issues. Again, I think what the applicant is before this board, I think the applicant would hope to use this information to convince the planning board that it does have conservation value. Absent that, it's presenting the letter to you as a discretionary matter to say, look, this is not like a paved parking lot. It has some conservation value, so kindly consider it. I think, you know, if you want to hire an expert to look at that, you can. If you want to look at it on your own, that's up to you as well. Either way, the letter will be part of the record for you to consider, and among all the factors that are usually at play in, you know, weighing the benefits to the applicant against the detriments to the community and the 5 factors.
All right, then.
Ask you a question.
Excuse me?
Mike, I'm available. If you want to ask me questions about the easement, I'm available.
Who's speaking, Mr. Nowicki?
Yeah, correct. Sorry.
So certainly you could do that now, or I would imagine that Mr. Nowicki would be available at the public hearing when you schedule the public hearing as well. Keep in mind, nothing that we talk about right now is part of the public hearing. It's not going to be part of the record.
So we have your letter, and maybe it would be helpful to have you speak at the public hearing to present it to the board and the public. I don't have any particular questions. I think so. Okay. Would anybody like to make a motion to open a public hearing for the D&G Realty subdivision on February 22nd?
I make a motion to schedule this for a public hearing at our next meeting on February 22nd.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
All right.
And thank you for accommodating us here online. We do appreciate it.
And please coordinate with the secretary to get the list of adjoining owners that have to be notified.
We will do that. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Yep.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Sorry? I'll just have them reprinted just to make sure, because I have to make sure the letter is done. So I'll send everything to the office.
The one benefit we have not having the public hearing in December, that we have
Go away. Good night.
Good night.
Mr. Rutledge is not present?
Mr. Rutledge is a no-show tonight. The public hearing will have to be continued, so you need to mention that, Mr. Chairman.
All right, so it remains open, and we'll continue it and pick it up as a matter on our February 22nd agenda. We don't need a motion for that.
I don't think the minute emailed to everybody, so you'll have.
So with Rutledge, we have the map, and just looking at the map, he seems to have provided everything that we asked for. So, I mean, it's just a matter of him coming in and presenting it, and we can close out the public hearing on that matter and take a vote on the variances.
Not sure why he didn't show tonight.
The next order of business is adjournment of the meeting, right? Because we're going to carry over the minutes to
Yeah.
February meeting.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
All those in favor?
Aye.
No, let's keep it going.
Aye.
Aye.
Good time. We did it in an hour and a half.
Aye, aye, aye.